بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. This kitab is Etiquitte. Very seldom you'll find that contemporary ulama will praise their contemporaries. Not only the contemporaries praise of the Shaykh of this kitab, even his seniors, the likes of Hazrat Madani Sahib used to say that I find this so precious that I carry with me when I'm traveling. My attaché or whatever, that I carry this along with me. These books of this senior ulama kiram and the ulama that generally we all are agreed upon, all united upon, it's like a must in every home. When I'm seeing what's going on now, we first to just encourage the talim. Now I'm saying it's like for us, because we lost the whole picture, the whole plot is lost. We find friends are talking and discussing, and sometimes 5 out of 10, sometimes 8 out of 10, the discussion is revolving around disgracing someone, pulling out someone's mistake, some alim, he said this and he said this, someone running out someone or attacking someone. So now we're attacking, then more than that, we are linked up to a site that talks about that. So there's 10 people hurling abuse against someone. Then we take relish out of that enjoyment. Now, in the light of all these things, what is our position? Are we safe? So, one is we aren't safe, and we don't even count the wrong that we are involved in to be wrong. It's even worse. We think now it's a good thing talking about deen. So many a times I tell people, it's better for you to talk about what's the specials. Sunlight soap is on special, or condensed milk is on special. Talk about that, you won't get guna. No guna will get, in fact, it will help someone. Lately, my one niece now, or grandchild, she learned how to make condensed milk, homemade. Yeah, pass it on. At least we talk about this thing here, no guna. In fact, it will be a benefit to someone else. But now you're going to talk about someone, talk against someone, all what you have done, all is finished, class one. It took you so much of time to earn the thing. And within minutes now, everything is, everything is finished up. Once 2000 on, I think of it, Dr. Sahib, Dr. Workers, brother, Shabir name was. Come and Ismail, to come in the Etiquitte here, regularly. Then after that, after he passed away, I understood they were a professional person, but then he didn't search him to sweep here, Ajib person. And then they say when he passed away, that he was actually seeing some Sahaba Kiram, maybe some Sahaba Kiram, so they came to receive him. They asked, what was so good about this man? I asked, when you see someone dying like this, I want to know what he was doing. So the thing that was common in him, they say, people that knew him, he won't want to listen to any rebirth. And first, if he could, he'll stop you. But if he can't, then he'll walk up and get away. He'll stop you from rebirth, speaking especially against ulama, etc. But if he can't stop you, then for some reason, then he'll gently get up and move away. It was right throughout his life. Now, Allah is watching everything. And He is most appreciative. So the time that you need the help, He'll give it to you. Now all this will pass. But the time that this will, you will need Him. And I noticed this also. After this incident here, I began to see now people dying, right? And they're dying with ease, or you're getting some basharat at the time of death or after death. Easy death or some basharat, some good news. Then the common line was, man took care of his tongue. That is a common line. And we have to go that way. Then why don't make that trip enjoyable? We have to go. Nobody can avoid that. So there's two things I saw in that Ismail Bhai. One was that you won't make out he's a professional person. He won't talk about himself. And number two is that he won't speak anything bad upon anybody. And he won't even listen. One is not to speak, the one is to hear, entertain the talk. He won't even speak, he won't even listen. And if he happens to be in that gathering, he'll get up. But isn't that a great investment? I think you pay billions for that investment. I think it's more than worth it. The third thing, all right, it's another thing that he was to do. In Etiquitte, he'll pass on badam to everybody. You know, Ismail? Everybody gets some 5 badam, 7 badam. But we'll do that. Now, it's good works. Why must we become like a vacuum cleaner to get all the filth? Look for all the filth. Be like that khajur tree, right? Think of the khajur tree. There's a lot of things that you can take off from it. But once it sends its roots into the ground, it will take all the good nourishment, all the good nutrition to take, and then that nourishment is such that at the most precious time, start time, your dua is qabul, at that time you enjoy it. Can't we be like that? There was dirt dumped there, the thing left all that thing out. It took the good nourishment, brought it up, and then everybody takes it like a burger. You know, khajur came from Medina Munawwara, take it at the time of iftar. Doesn't it happen? Can't we take a lesson from these things? One Buzurg, I think it was a muhaddis. So someone was speaking out against Hajjaj. People know the atrocities and how much of zulm he did, right? Thousands of people were killed. So now look at the caution. Look at the caution, look at the precaution. He says, on the day of Qiyamah, like Allah Ta'ala will punish Hajjaj for his wrongs, then the people that wronged him, they will also be punished. Because you can only talk wrong against him to the extent of the wrong. You kill 10 people, to the extent of the wrong that he's committed, you can speak against him. But now you overstep the mark there, now you impound. So you need to understand now, right, to the extent of the wrong, I got the right. جزاء سيئة سيئة مثلها فمن اعتدى عليكم فاعتدوا عليه بمثل ما اعتدى عليكم. Then wrong for wrong, but equivalent. But one step more than that, now you are the wrong. So what have you gained? In this age, I feel, this talim is like for us, and then the things that we have forgot. If you just listen to the Surah Nur, in Surah Nur, you'll find so much of good in this thing here. How to get into the light. How to get into light. Look at the Surah Nur. See, Allah Pak himself says, Allahu waliyul ladhina amanu yukhrijuhum min al-nur ila al-zulumat. Allah Ta'ala is your friend. He is the friend of every Muslim. And He pulls him out from the darkness to the light. Now you may ask, what is darkness? Darkness in according to the Mufassirin means doubts and suspicions. See, I ask you, isn't this an age of doubts and suspicions? There were doubts in Iman, there were doubts in Deen, there were everything doubts. So Allah Pak says He will pull you out from the darknesses of doubts and suspicion into the light of Iman. Right? But then, if you are doing things to block off that light, then Allah Pak is taking you out, but you are doing things to block off that light. Then you're becoming a victim of suspicion. Repeatedly you become a victim of suspicion. Why? Because you're doing things to block that light. Hurling abuse, disgracing, embarrassing, gossiping, backbiting, right? Or if you are not active, then you are passive. One is you are actively involved, and one is you are a passive participant. You're listening to it, you're admiring the whole thing. So this phone, is a conglomeration of sin. When I look at it carefully, it's a conglomeration, especially the smartphone. You think it's a blessing, but I think it's a conglomeration of sin. That you want to see how the news comes also. Breaking news, striking news. Today is, so every day is breaking. Every day is breaking. Tomorrow another break. But they must tell the news in some way. And now the same thing has been done with the phone. You become addicted to it. You see, what's the breaking news today? Tomorrow, who's catching it tomorrow? That's why I say sometimes that even some of these magazines or papers that come out, it's not good for everybody to read. Though the writers may be very good people, pious people, but it's not good for everybody to read. Because our intention is to see who is getting smashed down now, who's catching it now. Yeah, see, this person is catching it. See, tomorrow is so we find something, so we're reading that thing for what? What's the intention? Deep down, what's the intention? Is it right? His intention, the writer, his intention must be good, right? We don't have any doubts about the person. But you, the reader, what's your intention? Is your intention right? If it's entertainment, you're wrong. If it is to appease yourself when someone else is getting smashed, again you're sinful. So there can be about 10 reasons for you to become sinful. So this ta'aleem also must be supervised. Someone who must guide you what you should make ta'aleem of, not anything and everything. So the nur is so important. Like I say, things that will block off the nur. See? Then you become a victim of doubts, suspicions. In your own deen, in your iman, everything you have doubts. So this Surah Nur will teach you a lot of things. That is why Umar radiallahu anhu had advised, don't teach your girls writing. But he would tell that so close to all the girls madrasas. That's how they would respond. So don't teach them writing. And don't keep them in upper balconies. High buildings, don't keep them there. There's a lot of hikmah in what he's saying. If you're only abreast of what goes on, I feel it's too much of wisdom, what Umar says. And then the third thing he says, let them get engaged in Sood Katna. Sood Katna means yarn, spinning yarn. I think the spinning yarn, is about taking the strands, right, from the cotton, taking the strands and making it into a string. The fibers, and you spin it into a string. This is what I think I understand. I don't know what it exactly means, but this is what I understand. So that's the third thing about it. Right. And number 4, he says, teach them Surah Nur. But what he says, all spot on. All spot on. Now, nothing is off. The more you think about what he said, really, that's what, that woman will become like a farishta, will become like an angel. They don't just conform. See, our deen is, in most places, right, most places, just listen to our elders. Although you don't understand what they say. Hazrat himself will say, some of the things that I speak now, you will not understand it. But just keep it in your bag. Later on in life, the mysteries will unravel. You will begin to understand it later on. But now let's not destroy it up. So you see this hikmah, that teach them Surah An-Nur. One is what Umar is saying, and you employing your reasoning against what he's saying. No, the 21st century, what he knew, he didn't see this, the halat we're going through. When you go and experiment these things, what happens after that? After that woman is sleeping with a Hindu, she's giving a child to a Christian man, and they're carrying on. They don't feel embarrassed about what they're doing. But that's the point where they lost it. The simple way is listen, right? Don't go against them. But you don't want to do it in your own child now, you've got no control over the child. Now he's a Hindu or a Christian or whatever it is, you know about it. But you got absolutely no control. Where you didn't want to be supervised or tied, you don't want to be tied. When you don't want to be tied, you must suffer the consequence. And you want to be tied, then you feel a little bit constrained for the moment. But afterwards, then you'll understand, all right, what was the mystery? There's two stories come to my mind. Keeping yourself tied. Now, these are two friends of mine, right? One is a doctor. The doctor is quite aged now, like about 90 years of age, he's still alive there. So he told me a story himself, personally told me. So when he was studying medicine, at that time there was a Salisbury Island, you know. So they used to go, they ferry the boat, go to that island, go study, then come. They give me a story. He says, just then, near his house, what he's saying, I saw that. Just near the house there was a tennis court just came up. Now this tennis court came up and the youngsters started playing tennis. I also. Now, I played first day. By the second day, my father said, hey, you're not going to go there. Hey, now I was wild, I was raging. But now at that time, forget the father saying something, even if he opens his eyes, that was enough. That's the respect there. So now he said, hey, you don't want to go there. I have to hold back straight. Now I'm telling you, I am a doctor. I know the world, you know, I'm some read. What this old, you know, they'll say, Carol, Bali, or what he knows. What he knows. But then I saw now, after a few days, now, you are playing, right? You're playing and you're playing in pairs now. Sometimes the pair is a woman, a girl. You playing, they're playing, and it looks so nice now, you know, that girl, that shorts, and how she's jumping, and the hair, and all that. And he's telling me all the story, how they look. And that's exciting to me, thrilling to me. My father here, I know what he's doing now. The other parents, they allowed this to continue. Right? So they continued. Right? We completed our whole medicine course. A lot of those people, either they dropped out, or if they became doctors and whatever, their lives are either really in a mess up. There was someone nice, one colored, one whoever. Because they got a free life, and they want to come and play. And now from one thing leads to the other, second thing, third thing, so married to that. Either colored girls or even Muslim girls, but not free, you know, not thinking right. Then the children went all off. Someone is a delinquent, someone is drugging, someone wastes his life. But all these things happen. Now it took about 25 years to see what's going to be the outcome after math of what the old man said. The old man said, you know where to put your foot there. It took me 25 years to understand what's going to be the aftermath. But I heard him that time, and you know, I'm so thankful to Allah Ta'ala. All my children are good, they married well, good homes, some of them are professionals, but they're all doing good for themselves. Now it took him 25 years to understand. But that's the blessing of keeping yourself tied. Not free thinking, just looking at anything, what's up and what's down, and then you've got a confusion in your mind. When you read that is supervised, your elders are telling you, just listen to it. You're going to create a confused mind. Then you'll ask this, second question, the third question. Your questions won't end up. But you're reading all that material that is junk, you're not supposed to be reading it. Sometimes, like you go to a doctor, right? So you have some degree of respect for him, for the good that he's doing, and the good results that you see in his patients, and you listen to him. So you may ask him one question, but there's an alternative medication. One time he'll explain to you. Second time he'll explain to you. But third time you go do your own thing. He'll get fed up. See, I have experienced this thing, tried this thing out so many times, and you're not paying me for this. I must give you a whole explanation. I must give you a whole detailed explanation. It takes so much of time. In that time I can make so much of money. That's how the doctor will say. Now, you want that explanation from me, what are you going to pay me for it? And you're not qualified enough. But you want to pretend that I'm qualified. Why like this? Why like this? Why not like this? Why like this? Where this came from? It came from the junk that you read. I told you the story of that young boy and how he was misled. Why can't we perform namaz in this one cloth? I gave the whole explanation. But this incomplete information. Information that is incomplete is being fed to people, whether through the WhatsApp, Google, etc. You look at this thing here, your mind is getting all in a mess up. Then you want to mess up your life. Then you want to talk about these things. Then you create a greater confusion. So the simple thing is, you have trust, listen to the person. He may not have the time to give detailed explanation to everything. Today's problem is you want a detailed explanation to everything. But they don't apply the same law, the same rule when they're going to visit a doctor. They apply the same rule. You should apply the same rule. I was telling you now that doctor sees a patient just for 2 minutes, 5,000 nachi. Now, he can't ask the doctor, give me a detailed explanation, why you charge me 5,000 for this? Just 2 minute visit. He doesn't have the heart to do it. But because the Maulana, he takes it very lightly, I want a detailed explanation, what is this? But don't confuse your mind, for the sake of Allah Ta'ala. Don't confuse your mind. Listen to an elder, see the person properly, then listen to him, and then carry on. Then in time, you will see the good yourself. Now you want to hear that, then in time you will see it yourself. So, all right, this is why he told me. It's one story. But now this is the doctor told me himself. Another story, another person read. He's also a professional person. So he tells me he was studying in university, right? He was about 20, 21 he was. Second year, I don't know what course he was doing. So now all the friends, 1978, 79, 80, when it was, or maybe earlier. So all the friends got together now. It's a holiday period. So we're going to go to this, Port Jones or where Muni Musa is. So to go for fishing. What's the place? Transkei somewhere. Yeah. This is now we all prepared, hey, wait for holiday. Going there, all reserving, I'm going to go, the roads, what you're going to do there, what you're going to eat, I'm going to buy for 5 days now. So they made up their mind. They got a boat, everything. Now, he went and asked his mother at the last minute, Mom, I'm going to go. My saying, Javanuni mother, can't go. So I was really mad at the time, What preparations we made, what dreams we had to go for the holiday, whatever we did, everything was prepared. At the last hour, this road, I was with his mother. She said, don't go. All right. Manu Hukamche is the command of the mother, instruction of the mother, he couldn't go. He says, not even 2 days passed, the phone came from that side. They went fishing with the boat, that thing capsized, all of them drowned. I mean, one survived, all drowned. But you see these old people, they're telling you something, right? Just go. You're understanding right. They're not biased. They don't mean bad. But they can see what you can't see. They understand what you can't understand. They've got the experience that you don't have. You're going to do it and after that you're going to cry. This email that I see, so many about marriages. And this marriages, most of the problem is this love marriages. Most of the problem is love marriages. What the old man knows, he doesn't know. My kid, he doesn't know. I must go and experience this thing here, whatever. Then after a year, 2 years, they got a child, there's a problem. Now they don't know how to sort it out. They're going to school together, going to university, then they come in love. We get so many of these problems. They won't just listen. Now, husband is a doctor, wife is a doctor. Right. So the husband must have joked with her, how you tap someone, so he must have tapped her. So the woman is a doctor, so she went and complained to her mother, he's hitting me for tapping. So the mother-in-law caught the doctor and punched him. He's actually pulled up his clothes, he's telling me, see what the blue and black marks. Now this is the aftermath. They don't want to listen to anybody. They experience the whole thing, and when they see that, they say, I should have only listened to them. One person came here, I won't mention the town, right? He came here, crying, very, very badly crying. Try to calm him off now. Let's try to keep tissue in the office, Elderly person, about 55 something, is crying. What happened I got tangled in a love marriage, but Christian, Hindu, someone I got married. So that thing, she accepted Islam. All right, so things was going on well. After about 10 years, I got 2 girls from her, and now she went back to Christianity. My daughters, they born in Islam, and now they all just turned. Clothing, the girl is big, she's a big now, 12 or something, and she's wearing shorts like this, in front of me. And I can't do anything about it. How hurt don't I feel? Then he's telling me that my mother so much, she told me, don't do this thing yet. Please, for Allah's sake, don't do this thing. Now she went to the church service and all that, and she sued me for divorce. So I have no chance but to divorce her. Right? Then I'm earning very well. I'm earning very well, about 45,000 something I'm earning, and 20,000 every month I will take off for them. And the children are only seeing in the weekend. Whole week they went to Sunday service, whatever they're doing. Christian, Muslim by name, and in their action, their behavior, they're Christian. Now I don't know what to do. Where to look? I'm regretting I didn't listen to my mother, but this was happening. See? So this listening to the elders without any proof, the elder got some understanding, he's got some wisdom, and he asked you to do something, right? Just carry on. Later on in life, you will see the mysteries will unravel, you will see it for yourself, you won't have regrets. Because, see, when you're young, the only thing that appeals to you is sight, is looks. When you're young, the only thing that appeals to you is the looks. You're not looking at anything else. And if your mother, etc., they're going to see things, provided the mother is also mature. Because a lot of the mothers are not mature also. It's such a zamana we're going through. You get so many cases you get. The mother knows, the parents know that we're in love, right? And they agree that we should marry. They know meeting each other on that. But you can only marry after you have completed your studies. Because now, who's going to support? And you're not mature enough. So they're mature to meet each other. They're mature to sleep with each other. But they're not mature to get married. To meet each other, they can be mature enough. To meet each other and sleep with each other, they're mature enough. But to get into a halal contract, they're not. So the mothers give that type of advice. And you have to say these things here because you're getting this type of parents coming up. That girl is complaining, no, I don't want to be there in university. Yeah. And I don't want to be there. My parents are hitting me. I must be there. I must go there. Now, I'm forced to go there. I don't want to be there. And then you're hearing from the people in the university telling you, hey, you just give that girl, from whichever madrasa she's come, give her 6 months and we'll finish up. We'll control her life. Just 6 months in the university environment, and how will this ruin her life? And it's your own child, and to see this type of thing coming up. So it's a money madness. The parents are mad over money, or just some name that no, my daughter, she is qualified like this. just the money or the name. My opinion is, even if that girl is going to madrasa, and she's got 2 sibaras left to complete, and she says she wants to get married, get her married straight away. She's got 1 year to finish a mishkat, right? And she wants to get married, or the proposal has come. She's right, send her away. You're going to stress this thing here. You're going against the hadith. The hadith saying that you found the match, get them married. Now if the child is going to do any wrong, then you're also going to bear the brunt. You're stopping the child, but you don't know what's going on in the heart. Child, you got them engaged, they know each other and all that, and you have that doubt, perhaps you're going to be communicating, right? And this premarital this relationship is not right, haram. Like out of marriage and out of engagement, it's haram. So all this is haram. But you're allowing all these things here. So you see this, you want to name that the child became a hafiza or she became a alima, and for that you stress that thing. When you stress the thing, she wasn't involved in haram. She is sinful and you are sinful as well, both. وَلَا يَحْمِلُنَّ أَثْقَالَهُمْ وَأَثْقَالًا مَا أَثْقَالِهِمْ. They're going to bear their sins and the sins of those they misled as well. يُضِلُّونَهُمْ بِغَيْرٍ. They incorrectly misled them. You're going to bear your sin and you're going to bear their sin as well. At the age now, get them married, give them proper Islamic guidance. So Umar radiallahu anhu is giving this advice, teach them Surah An-Nur. Right? Now, what's the mystery in Surah An-Nur? For the first 2-3 rukus, he's talking about the guarding of the tongue. لولا إذ سمعتموه ظن المؤمنون والمؤمنات بأنفسهم خيرا. That's the first 2-3 rukus, right? You hear any rumor about a Muslim, what is the desired response? You hear something. You don't want to hear, but it just came up. لولا إذ سمعتموه ظن المؤمنون والمؤمنات بأنفسهم. First, think good about the believers. You heard it, you didn't accept it. So when you talk good of the believer, then are you sinful? But without proof, you entertain some suspicion. Without proof, you entertain some doubt and suspicion about the person. I ask you, are you sinful? So nikam, you're not getting anything out of it. Why are you putting yourself in trouble? See how good the Quran Sharif says it. وَمَنْ يَكْتُمْهَا فَإِنَّهُ آثِمٌ قَلْبُ. Sometimes your heart also gets sinful. فَإِنَّهُ آثِمٌ قَلْبُ. So we think, we mustn't misuse the tongue or misuse the limbs. But the misuse of the heart is alright. And the Quran Sharif is saying, فَإِنَّهُ آثِمٌ قَلْبُ. Your heart can also be wrong. You entertaining doubts about the person, especially because no proof, no evidence. It's in one place. Then, لولا إسمعتموه قلتم ما يكون لنا أن نتكلم بهذا. Second advice, how should you respond? It's not for us to say these things. It's not right for us to say these things. ما يكون لنا أن نتكلم بهذا. We can't even talk about these things. Third response, Subhanaka hadha buhtanun azim. Glory be to you, Allah. This is an allegation. This is see how the Quran is telling you, Surah An-Nur. And Umar radiallahu anhu is directing it to the woman. And now everybody became like woman. Because before, this gossip and granny's tales was a granny's work. Now everybody became grannies. They look at the phone, gossip is on. I ask you, anybody that's got a small smartphone, is he not guilty of gossip? Is he guilty or not? Do you have suspicions of people after that? Do you have doubts of people after that? Can you say that your mind and your heart is pure like before? Now it's no more pure. It was contaminated. This news here, that news, contaminated. See how it contaminated, how you spoil your heart. See this news, what it does to you. See the third advice, in the same surah, and how many times? Subhanak hadha buhtanun azim. It's an allegation. It's an accusation, false accusation. Right. Now we are taking all these things as wahi. News comes, or this WhatsApp news and what comes, we think it's right. But have we verified? Have we verified it? Those reporters that are giving the news, have they verified? They just bought news and they are presenting it. This is like a breaking news, striking news, right? Today's news. So they are doing it as a business. If they decide that, all right, there was a small accident in Springo, one person died, you think anyone will buy that? They want to buy it. They want to make it striking for people to buy it. So that's a business that they're doing. And you became their garak. You became their client now. Right, look at the fourth response of the Quran. Fourth response of the Quran Sharif is that Lola ja'u alayhi bi arba'ati shuhada. It's for a special case, but I'm just extending the analogy, right? Lola ja'u alayhi bi arba'ati shuhada. If you heard anything about any person, then bring the desired proof. I'm not translating it, I'm just showing by way of analogy. Right? The desired proof. You made an accusation about this person here, bring the desired proof. The fifth response of the Quran Sharif. Look at it. How firm this thing is. فَإِذْ لَمْ يَأْتُوا بِالشُّهَدَاءِ فَأُولَٰئِكَ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ هُمُ الْكَاذِبُونَ. That if you can't produce the proof, then according to the law of Allah, ilmillah, translating it as the law of Allah Ta'ala, they are liars. That means it's possible that what you are saying is true, it's possible. But you can't furnish the proof. What you're saying, it's possible, it's true. But have you got the proof? When you don't have the proof in the law of Allah Ta'ala, you're talking about this, in the law of Allah Ta'ala, you're a liar, class. See that? How much the Quran Sharif is guarding us and reproaching us, reprimanding us with information. How do you respond, disseminate? What do you do with information? Then the sixth response, يَعِزُكُمُ اللَّهُ أَن تَعُودُوا لِمِثْلِهِ أَبَدًا إِن كُنتُم مُؤْمِنِينَ. If you are mu'min, I'm warning you, don't do this again. See, in six places the Quran Sharif is warning you. In one surah, 6 times. So this must be a very serious crime in the sight of Allah Ta'ala. Just talking randomly, listening to news, passing it on. We consider it as so light, like a fly came on the stage. And we'll still say, this person is very cool, he's not an aggressive person. But all the aggression, all the filth that's in his heart, do we look at that? I was listening to this filth, he's entertaining himself with that, he talks about it in a very cool manner. This came here. So he's talking in a very cool manner, and we think he's a very cool and a calm person. But the muck that's inside. See that in 2 pages, 6 times the Quran is talking about tongue. Right, look after the tongue. Look after the tongue. يَعِزُكُمُ اللَّهُ أَن تَعُودُوا لِمِثْلِهِ أَبَدًا إِن كُنتُم مُؤْمِنِينَ. Don't do this. My son, don't do it ever. Don't ever do this again. Now if a child has got a little bit of nobility, his father tells him once, it's too much, he can't do it again. Bazir Alam Sahib Rahmatullah, this son was more Aftab Sahib. I don't know if you've seen him. They had moved on to Medina Munawwara. So after Asr or something, he had gone somewhere. So his father told him, see, Asr ke baad kahin jaate nahi. मकान को चले आते हैं. After Asr, you come home, don't go anywhere. Now look at the man's nobility. It was the first time and the last time. Father never had to say it again. One time, and he says, I never regret afterwards, because I saw that those that had a free mind, like running here, going there, especially after Asr. See, after Asr is work, right? And after Asr, then you will hang out with this friend here, and that friend, and one thing leads to the other, and things go on after that. You want to be with the friend now, they're sipping coffee. Azan is going. So we'll make our own Jamaat. So why did Rasulullah ask us to be in the masjid? The masjid is there, so he left the masjid and he's sipping coffee. Then the friend is so interesting now, they're playing some game or something, and he must be there till Isha. The game is not complete now, he's playing some other game and talking and all that. Everything is going on, playing some game or whatever, going after Isha. Right. It's pulling now late at night, 1 o'clock and all that. Then Fajr namaz, gone. Can't get up. So just for that coffee, the scrap of meat, brine, scraps, right? The whole night has been ruined. You didn't get up with Tahajjud at all. Right? If you're a Hafiz, you're supposed to be reciting Quran Sharif at that time. Quran Sharif is gone. Right? You couldn't perform the namaz with Jamaat. That is gone. Right? Number 4 is after Fajr, right? There will be some ta'lim, nearly every masjid nowadays, some ta'lim, something happening. You couldn't participate in that. Number 5 is this, that then you could have performed the Ishraq namaz. Right? Number 6 is that then you slept nicely, you can be a good person the next day. Right? Number 7, your wife is helter-skelter. What is possible? She's married to me or married to those friends. She can't say anything because she's under your mercy. You're taking advantage. Today you are ruining that girl's life. Tomorrow your daughter's life will be ruined. You ruined this person's daughter. Coming at that time, how she feels. I wanted that family time. The man is gone. He's not. How does she feel? Number 7 is this. If you there at home 6 from Asr time, then from that time now you think, all right, how should we program the family? Make some ta'lim, make some zikr, talk about what is done, what was happening in the school, and you have some control, some direction to your children. But at that time you're too busy hanging out with the friends. Now then these children become delinquents. I don't know what went wrong, where is went wrong. But when it was a time to shape them, that you were not there for them. Now they've gone off, and now you're worried why they've gone off. But now see the Muhammad himself, and just once he had to advise his son, after Absab, just once. Sharif log is tarah se nahi karte. People come from some nobility, they don't do this. Just once the father at time, that's the last time. Now, so many things you get deprived of. Coming home on time, and what a world of a difference it makes. Sleeping on time. If it's a youngster, he's done his homework. If it's his door, he's done it right. He's prepared for the next day. Had a good sleep. He's going to perform well in school tomorrow. Madrasa will do well. Everything will be going well. But he didn't rest well for all this type of nonsense. Now how is he going to perform the next day? So Hazrat Ahmed used to say that. If you want to become fathers and married, but they don't know what it is to assume responsibility. See, you're fathering a child, so you assume responsibility. Parenting, you assume responsibility. Taking someone's daughter now, whatever the responsibility that goes with it. So you don't want to assume the responsibility. You just want to hang out, free life, and then sometimes all these things is in place. Right? Then the disaster is one person starts to drug after them. Just one person. And then it carries on. Right? Then from drug, now it's going to drinks. You'll be shocked now that from drugs, it's going to drinks. And then it's not only men that are involved, even women are getting involved. See how it says Umar's advice. A third time is enough. Do your work, whatever, do your namaz, then only masjid and home. Unless now you are sure, are they sure that you're going to a tablighi program, gush, in gush, out gush, that's the only thing that you're going out for. Other than that, no. And then too, that gush also is not so important. If, for example, there was some genuine work that was required at home, then this genuine work will be taking precedence to your gush as well. So say, for example, the child doesn't know his sabak, and someone has to teach the child his sabak. So on that day, you have to sit down and teach the child his sabak, so that he can be in a good shape for the next day. But now you don't do that. The child is going to get a reprimand, or the ustad may not look at him favorably, but because of your negligence. Now you're lumping on the wife, why are you not teaching? Now the wife has so many things else to do. She has to look at the home, look at the children, look after guests. Now, where is she going to find this thing? So we have to be reasonable that you parenting, assume responsibility. For the sake of Allah, assume responsibility. It's your child. Tomorrow the child will do something great. It's an honor, say, to your reputation. If he's going to do something disgraceful, embarrassing, that will be embarrassing to you. But it's what you put in the child that you will see afterwards. This is Surah An-Nur. Right? So that's the first, second ruku. Then the same Surah An-Nur then carries on. The same things that I normally talk about. Tongue and eyes. يَغُدُّوا مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِمْ وَيَحْفَظُوا فُرُوجَهُمْ. What do you say? يَغُدُّوا مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِمْ. Lower your sight. And strangely, it's not only saying the men, it's saying the women also. وَالْمُؤْمِنَاتِ يَغْضُضْنَ. Because everything, all the hell breaks loose from the eye. The eye gives it up. They say, आंखें से इशारे हो गए, हम तुम्हारे, तुम हमारे हो गए. See which starts off. इम्तियाज कहां से शुरू होता है? ठीक है. Just now, he made this, she did this, kalas. What eye? And sometimes you hear a case, the person is such a professional person, and just one smirk, one eye, hey, he's gone. Flat. Can't do anything about it. He's the way he's mesmerized, just one eye. One eye. Imagine what a powerful eye that must be. Those are buzurgon ki nazar. औरतों की नजर को देखो. नजर से, नमाज से, नवाज से, बुजुर्गों की नजर से, उससे भारी तो ये औरतों की नजर है. One nazar they capture you. One nazar they just turn you around. There will be one nazar every response. How dangerous it is. So with the Quran Sharif say by just lower the side. You don't experiment. After the Quran Sharif says something, don't experiment. After your elder says something, don't experiment. You don't experiment at your turn. You know, I can talk of things now because I'm talking of things over 40 years, right? And what are the people I'm talking about? They're all dead and gone. I'm talking about 1980s, right? 80, 81. One man said, no, I'm married here, but I'm in love with my sister-in-law. I made istikhara is positive. अब कहीं सब जरा सोचो पूरे कह रहे कि मेरी इस्तिखार पॉजिटिव है. It's haram. How can you marry to your wife's sister? How can you marry? So I told him, if you're not going to leave this thing here, I told him, I was young that he made a lot of Josh. So he was a very wealthy person. At that time, 1979, 80, he used to import containers. China, Japan, all these things here. Such a wealthy person. I said, you're not going to leave this here. You have to close your business and you'll be in genuine constraints. You'll be in serious constraints. You don't leave this here. So now maybe istikhara. I told you what I need to tell you, but you'll be in problems. It took about 20 years after that, 15 or 20 years. Man is battling for a job for 3,000 rands. From where he was, and he just fell. From where? See his eyes. So it doesn't mean you're the brother-in-law now, you take advantage of the house. Those girls don't become now free for you. You marry into the house, it doesn't mean the girls become free for you. You just keep your distance. Alhamdulillah, from the time I made nikah, right? So I should make it a point, if I go to the in-laws place, then I just sit in the lounge, one place. Unless you go to the toilet, just go to the toilet, but you sit in the lounge. So the house people, they are free to move around. They know I'm not going to move around there. I'll just stick to the lounge, sitting room, just at that point. Now, you're a son-in-law, and you want to make yourself like a son, causing problems then. The additional wrong is that when you son-in-law, just keep your position, right? Now you want to keep yourself as a son now. One is now, you want to move around freely. Then you want to worry about the father-in-law's wealth. Now what's going to happen to his wealth? Now I saw all these things, there's all these bicycles, all these things I saw. Really, I saw these things. Now he's getting old now, and his son-in-law is jumping, I must get something from this. The strange thing was that his wife was seriously ill, cancer. And he's jumping over the father-in-law's wealth. The father-in-law didn't die yet. He's jumping. And see what happens. So keep your place, you won't go off. And you won't need that wealth. But you don't keep to your place now. You're more interested in the sister-in-law than your wife. You're more interested in his wealth than your wealth. You're creating confusion after that. They'll see this now, and they'll think, we don't do anything for him now, how they'll feel. So you're breaking the whole house, you're breaking up. See that يَغُدُّ مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِمْ. Look after your eyes. So look after the tongue, then look after your eyes. ذَلِكَ أَزْكَى لَهُ. It will make for greater purity. See, you want the purity of the heart. You don't want your heart, you said that, shukuk shubhat. You want the nur to fill up in the heart. So this will cause that nur to fill up. Otherwise, that nur will be blocked out. Either by speech or eyes. Your eyes or your speech will block out the heart. Now you're doing everything, but you don't find the inspiration, you don't find the motivation, you don't find the drive. Why? Either the eyes are gone or the tongue is gone. Then, again, social etiquettes, same Surah An-Nur, because Umar is saying that, tell the woman to learn this thing. So he's teaching them social etiquettes. لا تدخلوا بيوتا غير بيوتكم حتى تستأنسوا وتسلموا على أهلها. Then how should you enter a home? The home etiquette. So now look at the home, right? So you won't enter without permission. You won't enter without permission. That means you won't even look into that house. Sometimes the curtains are out, right? Sometimes the door is open. But the permission is for seeing. The permission is for entering. You already seen, that means you entered already. You saw, that means you've already entered the house. Now, the people of the house should also be a little bit sensible, that they block the windows. Sometimes they don't realize what's happening. I got an email, someone phoned, I can't remember, right? So, the person is saying, he's telling me, writing to me, or he's speaking to me, I can't remember exactly. So I got a very powerful telescope. So I'm looking this side, that side. Then I looked into one house, and a young girl was having a bath. I kept on looking for half an hour. Now, how was I make mark for that? How was I make mark for that? You see what happens there? Now, what things come out now, and how they experiment? So sometimes you think, you're reluctant to mention this because someone will try to experiment this also. You get funny responses here, very, very funny responses. You don't want to mention these things here. So the permission was so that to prevent you looking in there. Now you're already looking into that place, so where's the parda there? On. So you enter, then you make salam. فَإِن لَمْ تَجِدُوا فِيهَا أَحَدًا فَلَا تَدْخُلُوهَا. There's nobody, then you move away. And if they ask you to leave, then you leave. Then you don't insist, I must come in now. Now, as for the house, they got about 10 others, right? What adab, what etiquette you should be following. So there's a situation of, for example, it's just you and your wife that's occupying the house. So the question comes up, should you ask for permission then as well? So they say it's not so emphasized, but then too it is important that you take permission. Or you make your presence known, either permission or you make your presence known. Because it's possible that your wife got her friends, and you just entered, and they're sitting in the lounge, for example, they're talking. You looked, isn't that embarrassing? You didn't know, and they were sitting there, but you didn't ask, you didn't make your presence known. You make your presence known, and then you enter. But you see how refined these manners are. Any person that work can show these manners. Then, again, if it is, for example, if it is just you or your mother or your wife is all right, but you and your mother are sharing the house, or she's in the house, or your sister is in the house. House now will mean, now, in our context, she's in the room, mother is in the room, or your sister is in the room. Should you just enter without telling her? See, now our homes are designed different to what was designed at that time. The design of the home at that time was, it's just like one big room, right? And everything happens there. I saw in India some old homes, just one corner you staying, someone is staying. So it is just you and your mother, or you and your sister. Right? So now in our context, how it will work is you have a different room. For the girl will be a different room. For the boys will be a different room. Right? So now if it's just your mother, should you enter without telling her? No, then you must ask her. The Sahabi is saying, but it's just my mother that's there. Must I ask for permission? Yes, ask. Must I ask for permission? Third time you ask. Yes. Would you want to see her undressed? It's possible she's dressing up, right? Or she's applying some medication somewhere, right? And she's undressed or not fully dressed. And you see your mother in that state. Isn't that embarrassing for you and for her? So therefore you ask for permission, make your presence known, and then get into it. Don't just get into it. Then the sixth adab is, وَإِنَّ لِزَوْرِكَ عَلَيْكَ حَقًّا. Someone, it's a guest or someone wants to see you, right? Then you have a duty towards him, see to him. It's a guest, it's a person who wants to see you, right? So you see to him. But now the guest also should be a little bit reasonable. You can't come and meet you after Isha, say, the summer's right, it's about 9:30, he wants to see you. Just came to meet you now, how's everything, how's business? There's something genuinely you want to talk about, then you talk. No, he is parvarto, so he thinks everybody's parvarta. Now that's your family time, you've planned yourself, and now if he respects you, then you respect him. But he doesn't respect, just come here, comes just to pastime now. Nothing important. It's not something, a serious thing, must know a masla or something. It's a different thing. But now, just to come and pass time, just came to pop in to have a cup of tea. What? Understand, if it's something important, right, ask the person. Nothing important, right, go sleep now. So that will help you to get up for tahajjud, or fajr namaz, your Quran Sharif, whatever things you got for the night, you can do. But now you just, but on the other side, if you got a guest, you respect him. Right? But the guest needs to also understand that this is the right thing to come and meet the person at this time, at this part of the night. He must understand as well. But the eighth adab will be, as you're entering, you give your full name, or the name that they know you by. See? The inmates of the house, they know you by the name. When you identify yourself, you identify yourself with that full name. You don't know the door. Who's there? I'm here. Maybe I've been pleased with the person who said, Ana. So you give your full name. I'm at the door. Assalamu alaikum. See his adab. See how refined. So in just one sentence, the person knows exactly who's here. So they feel so easy. They feel so relaxed. They open the door. Right? I'm here. You gave your full name, the name that they remember you, they call you by, they know you by. So you gave the name and they open the door at once. Then if it is something, right, you want some time from the person, and you tell the person, I just need about 10 minutes of your time. Is it the right time? That's not better done telephonically. I need 10 minutes of your time. So he says, sorry, no, not today, tomorrow at this time. Then don't raise a brow. You're always busy, you can't even see you. You don't know what engagement he's got. He's got some other engagements. You had some work, but he's got also some work. If you are busy, he's also a busy person. So he said, come and see me tomorrow. In قِيلَ لَكُمْ ارْجِعُوا فَارْجِعُوا. Ask you to leave, then you must leave. And the fair thing is, if you got some time, you need some time, then tell the person, I need some time. Therefore, even when you're phoning the person, then you tell the person, I got something to discuss. It'll take me about 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Is it the right time to discuss? Or should I be discussing at some other time? You tell the person. Right. So he will see you with respect. So now look at this person here, with what dignity, what manners he speaks with. He speaks so gently, so let me speak to him gently. See the adab of entering the home. In قِيلَ لَكُمْ ارْجِعُوا فَارْجِعُوا وَأَزْكَىٰ لَكُمْ. Then, 10th adab, right? When you're in someone's home, then you look after your eyes. In someone else's home, you look after your eyes. Right? So if, for example, it's meals time, and the host tells you to sit at a certain spot, you sit at that spot. That's better for you. What I would normally do is now, normally there's a dining room and there's a kitchen. So I will sit in line with the door on the wall. So if sometimes someone mistakenly opens the door and someone comes, then you are facing that side, the opposite side. So mistakenly also you won't look in the kitchen. And you're sitting down this side, and that side is the kitchen, and some mistake happens, then you are looking inside. So these aspects of parda, see, this Surah Nur got all these things here. Same exactly now, same again. Now you are in a car, right? The preferable thing is the woman should be in the back. أَخِّرُوهُنَّ كَمَا أَخَّرَهُنَّ اللَّهُ. Allah says, we go to the back, right? So that's the better thing. Now the woman are in the back, you're sitting in the front seat. And when you're sitting in the front seat now, the dashboard got the mirror. You don't look at the mirror then. You don't look at the mirror then. Obviously now, you don't look at the mirror. And don't be loud now, because it's possible you're going to be loud as though you're attracting attention. As though you are attracting attention. You're talking, just that the driver is talking to you, enough. But now you're talking a little bit louder. You want to attract attention for the girls that are there, right? So you're talking but in a low tone. He's understanding what you're talking about. And don't look at the wrong things, right? See this. See this, all the adabs of visiting a home, a guest, social etiquette, right? And if you want to keep these things in mind, then there will be a joy in the house. And you're not going to keep these things in mind, then that same house then becomes like a Jahannam. Fighting here, fighting with this person here, fighting with that person. The whole day and night there's fights. There's no understanding, no reasoning, fights. لا تدخلوا بيوتا غير بيوتكم حتى تستأنسوا. Then now it's an invite, right? invited for meals. Right? So, إِلَّا أَن يُؤْذَنَ لَكُمْ إِلَىٰ طَعَامٍ غَيْرَ النَّاظِرِينَ. Look at the adab. غَيْرَ النَّاظِرِينَ إِنَا. So they told you that the meals is going to be served at 10 o'clock. And you don't pull in there at 9 o'clock. غَيْرَ النَّاظِرِينَ إِنَا. Don't be waiting now for that preparation. Because now, you think to yourself that the host has got a fikr to get the food right? So he's making the fikr. And you came in, you're a guest, so he has to show you respect. Now he's torn between you and the preparation. And you came long in advance, one hour in advance, and he can't ignore you. But he has to also see to the preparation. Aren't you making it a little bit difficult for him? غَيْرَ النَّاظِرِينَ إِنَا. See that? See the Quran says, and the adab is so refined. It's spot on 100%. Just go with it. غَيْرَ النَّاظِرِينَ إِنَا. Number 2 is وَلَكِنْ إِذَا دُعِيتُمْ. You don't just go and rock up someone's place. I hear this, I was called, invited here. No invitation, but you just go in. إِذَا دُعِيتُمْ. You invited, did you go? Right. فَإِذَا طَعِمْتُمْ فَانْتَشِرُوا. Now, in the dawat now, there may be like different tables where they're feeding, right? Like in a walima now. So, it may be the girls' party, right? So the girls' party will be kept a little bit more respect, right? They'll have a little bit more varieties there. If you look at the savories and the confectionery, all that will be much more. But you don't go look, hey, what they're eating there. I'm second class, they're first class. Don't look at all that. You don't look at that and you don't ask for that. You don't ask for that and you don't that is meant for the people in that table. And this is meant for the people on this table. This is the hadith. Bukhari says this is coming. That is meant for those people there on that table. And what is there by you is meant for you. And for that guest there to pass on is not right also. He's not allowed to do it. Because that was meant only for that table. It was not meant for you. So if you're going to pass from this table to that table, it's going to be wrong. Unless it's the same food. This dal chawal for the whole world, right? So that's all right. You're passing dal from here to the rice chawal from, it's all right. But it was meant specially for that table. That you don't take the food from that table and pass it on. That's it. Don't do it. Sometimes the host is also wrong, right? The host, what they do nowadays, I see, they got the food, but the cakes and all this thing, and now they've got it displayed. Or displayed. Now that guest is thinking now, is it meant for display or is it meant for us to eat? But his mind is not functioning. Is it for a display or is it meant for eating? What is it for? If it is for eating, then pass it on. Right? And if it's for display, then say it's just for display. It's not for you. Now you got it there, and you're not eating it, but you just got it on display. So you create a confusion. Don't do that. And it's wrong on the side of the host. They don't understand that it's not an etiquette. If it's meant for them, and sometimes it happens, right, that's one mistake. Second mistake, you got a fruit platter, right? A big fruit platter, and it's on one side of the table. Now these people, they want the fruit, but they're feeling ashamed. Hey, how must we ask for this thing here? If it's meant for all now, the right thing, the sensible thing is, put in the small plates, pass it on right through. If it's meant for all. See this adab, all Islamic adab. Right. Now, one is when you come, and number 2 is how you eat, right? And number 3 is this, right? I used to see this in Chotamar, in those days, 1980s, 70s, used to be doing the supervising of the maktabiyah. So his family, we used to call her Bari, she used to be at home. And then my mother would insist that they must eat and go. Right? So usually I think they would come on a Thursday or a Tuesday, they would come. So now the style was that you have a simple food and a special food, like shops like a special food, simple foods like mug or masoor or something, right? Now, should I want to make it a point Although there's a lot of chops there, they make it a point that he'll just take one chops and he'll fill the plate up with, I'll look at him carefully. I think what this man is doing. But he's so considerate. He's so considerate. I mean, he'll try to, hey, take some more. No, I'm happy with this. But look at the consideration. Now, what happens is, we look at the chops and we count how many people there. 5 people, and there's 5 chops here. So I take 2, the rest they can manage. That's how we read it. No, but you see these old people, how they thought. Now he's dead and gone, about 9-10 years, but I still think about the refined manners. See the mannerisms. How he conducted himself. He ate also. He didn't do like, no, I'm not eating. But he was considerate to the other people that were around. He took one piece and he filled the plate with mug and masool. So now, you know what level of consideration, respect. Now this comes from the hadith also. Naha anil qiran. Nabi Sallallahu stopped that you don't take 2 at one time. Qiran means taking 2. Like now, let's say you got biscuits, right? And you can see there's about 5 mehman. So there's 10 biscuits, right? So you took 3. Is that right? So you just take 1 at a time. Unless it's your own, you eating your own, you take more than 1, it's all. You eat yourself and your own is different. But you're sitting in a dawat, and then you took 3, that's not fair, that's not right. Naha, that he stopped that. That means anything that is done jointly done, then you must be considerate to the next person. It's a toilet now, it's a joint toilet, right? Common toilet, joint use. Then you leave it in a better position than you visit it. See? Because it's a joint thing. Or it's something that is jointly used, right? You replace it in the place that you picked it up from. You know, everybody's using it. So you took the benefit, all right, very good, but replace it exactly at the spot that you were taking it from. Now it's a Quran Sharif, for example, so everybody uses it. So from the spot that you picked it up, you replace it at the same spot. So now it becomes easy for everybody. In a masjid, you got a glass, right? In the wuzu khana, right, for drink water. So you used it, but replace it at the same spot. See now what mannerism Islam is taught. وَأَكْوَابٌ مَوْضُوعًا. They are placed in the right places. فَإِذَا طَعِمْتُمْ فَانْتَشِرُوا. Now, you add the walima, finish. Now, you how much of that? Now, scatter, move. You ate, now move. Now you don't engage. وَلَا مُسْتَأْنِسِينَ لِحَدِيث. You don't engage in talks now. Don't sit around and talk. Because the host, he wants to clear up, get the things done, all that. And now you're sitting and talking. Maybe also, it may be that he's got a second round of guests coming in. And you sitting there and talking. So now he feels it a little bit difficult to say, no, you ate now, please leave. Finds it difficult to tell you that. Does he feel easy to say, all right, now move. Now you understand, you ate, you're comfortable now. After you've eaten, now move. You came and ate nicely, respectfully. Now leave also respectfully. So he also feels, mashallah, what respect this person has got. See the adab, social etiquettes. Nearly all of this is from Surah An-Nur. How much for us to learn? Are there other adabs also, inshallah, some other time?